Thank you all. Mary Gugisberg, we're going to invite Kristin to join me. And what we're going to kind of do is have a conversation. Kristin and I have gone over, we've talked about how it would be most precious. Kristin, is that okay word to use? To share your story. And we're going to invite at the end, um, we're going to invite questions. So if everybody's ready, I'm going to do this, see if that works. There we go. Kristin, I'm going to just share a little bit of you, and then I'm going to invite you to share a bunch more. I like the green for May is Mental Health Month. Good job. Nice. So we're thrilled, honored. I've been blessed to hang out with Kristin a bit and just consider her a dear friend. And what Kristin's going to share today is just her personal story around mental health, her family's journey. I would say it involves courage, heartbreak, heartache, strength, love. What else was I thinking? And a lot of learning. We get to learn with and from you. Um, Honored that you would say yes to accepting this invitation here as May is Mental Health Month. And what I invite for all of us joining and listening to Kristin's story is we're just going to step into empathy today. Empathy, remove judgment, and just learn. Kristin authored a book. I hope you share a little bit more about your book. And oops, I lost my speaker here. And then maybe while we're talking, you can jot your questions and Kristin will do our best to share about those. So that was my brief introduction of you. Do you want to enhance more, my dear?
Sure. So good morning, everyone. I'm so impressed by this group. I was preparing yesterday, and I wish, honestly, 5 years ago I had known this group existed. It would probably given me some additional hope. Also, shout out to Dan Parnell. He was an angel in our life 5 years ago, and actually, Dan is quoted on the back of my book. So Dan will forever be somebody that is extremely important to me. But I am so honored to be here, and thank you for listening to our story, and to be a part of this conversation. I do hope it's a conversation. Please don't leave me up here just talking. So ask a lot of good questions, because I'm sure you have a lot of good questions. And what I tell everybody, either that comes into my store, and we can talk about what store am I talking about in a minute, but the community that we've created here at La Via Bell, that we're always learning and talking. None of us are experts. And so I'm sure I'll say things that you may agree or disagree with. And I invite you to challenge me. I invite you to ask questions, and I invite you to teach me. So I'm always here to learn. So I'll start with our story. Oh, I need to back up. So I'm going to talk about an 11, 12, and 13-year-old girl who is now 16. Our story started 5 years ago. And I want to say, because I think it's important for the context of what I'm about to share and discuss, that Anna is now 16. She's almost a junior, 1 week left in her sophomore year. I'll talk about years that she couldn't go to school, and she's now a GPA of 3.9, a National Honor Society student. She is on the youth leadership group for Washington County East. I think I said that wrong, but United Way of Washington County East. There we go. She's been working with me for 3 years, and the kiddo just got her first car last night. And I say that because there was a time in my life when I didn't think that her anxiety and panic would even allow her to drive. So it's these little milestones as a parent that I will always do one of these as a parent. My child is now in a car, but a huge milestone for our family and for our daughter. So I'll start real quick with our story, and I'll try and keep it quick, but there's some points that I want to highlight. And I actually have my book next to me, because this is a story I wrote 4 years ago. And honestly, our family is living so far past it now that I have to go back and reflect sometimes, but I'm really proud of that. So Anna was 11. She was just starting her 6th grade year in the middle of COVID. So she was brand new to Lake Alamo, brand new to Washington County, brand new to Oakland Middle School, and now she's an online student. And also her dad works for Hubbard Broadcasting, my husband. And so she was hearing all the news, things with riots and politics and divisiveness. And although we never saw any indicators of anxiety or stress in our child prior to her panic attack at a well child check when she was 11. I guess maybe I should have been watching for it, but we didn't necessarily notice. So we didn't go into this panic attack at her well child check when she was 11 with any indicators that our child was braving some acute anxiety. So she had that panic attack at her well child check, and thankfully we were in a medical facility, and it looked like a temper tantrum to us. And they calmed her down, and she kind of laughed about it. And she was nervous. I think the straw that broke the camel's back, as I reflect on it, was she was getting some vaccines, and our family vaccinates, so this wasn't a surprise to her. But it just was one more thing that was causing her some anxiety and stress. Anyway, within 2 weeks, she was completely debilitated with this just horrible panic disorder where she was afraid of having a panic attack. And so she just kept having them. And it just became this completely debilitating, terrifying disorder. Again, for those who have seen it or witnessed it, a panic attack looks like a cross between a temper tantrum, a seizure, and a heart attack. And all the physical symptoms are the same. And as a parent who has a fairly healthy child, you can imagine we were terrified. We're watching our child's eyes roll back in her head. We're watching her hands clench. We're watching her lose the ability to speak, losing sensation in her limbs, just fight or flight, and terrified. After 2 weeks, we ran her to the ER, advised that we get counseling. We couldn't get counseling for 2 months. We called in a favor. We got one intake session 2 weeks or a week later. And that wasn't enough. She ended up back in the ER and at that point deemed unsafe to come home. Fortunately, unfortunately, I think she was I'm going to get this wrong, guys. You're going to correct me or just know I'm wrong, but the Children's Hospital or St. Joe's or something in St. Paul, that's where she landed. They were not there to treat her, diagnose her. They were simply there to hold her. And so we have a child who's 11, who's 80 pounds, who is terrified. She's not sure what's going on. Her body's malfunctioning. And they just keep giving her different medications to try and control her panic, some of which she was having reactions to, i.e. Benadryl. And so there was a conversation about 3, 4, 5 days. We were held for 7 days, could not leave the room. It's 2020, it's COVID. So parents can't leave the room. She can't leave the room, and we're in a safe situation. So nobody can go to the bathroom alone. Nobody can sleep alone. And by day 5 or 6, it was discussed sedation and restraint. Now, if you can imagine, if you have an 11-year-old girl who believes in Santa Claus and Tooth Fairy, and you're talking about sedation and restraint, how terrifying and awful. I remember as a mom, not my proudest moment, but screaming, somebody help my child, somebody help my child. And my brother was actually the president of a hospital in Colorado. And I was saying things like, I'll pay for the helicopter, just get her out of here, just get her out of here. Because we couldn't get her out, because at that point she was within the system. We couldn't get her out. And we were waiting for a mental health bed, of which there were none in the tri-state area. So on Monday, we found out after 7 days that I can still tell you it was a Monday, that she had been admitted to Prairie Care in Brooklyn Park, and there was a sense of relief. And I remember my child getting strapped to the gurney to go into the ambulance, but we were not allowed to go in that ambulance with her because it was COVID. Anyway, so Anna was taken by ambulance to Prairie Care by herself, and she'll tell us to this day that the ambulance pulled up to a back door that she did not recognize. She did not know where she was going, and she was being escorted by strangers into an intake room without her parents. Tom and I came in through the front door and were told to wait in the lobby. Tom and I waited in the lobby, and somebody came in and said, I understand why your daughter is here. She's screaming, she's terrified, and she's out of control. And I remember as a parent saying something like, my daughter just spent 7 days in the hospital. She is in a strange facility without her parents. She is terrified. How would you feel? They took her up, and this is the part, and I know Mary will talk a little bit more about this maybe, but the I will never forget is that, again, because it was COVID, only one of us could see our daughter at a time, and we had 5 minutes to say goodbye. So I went through a metal detector, and I walked up to 4th floor, I think it was. I'll never forget, door number 8 on the right, last door on the right. The door was unlocked, and I found my daughter curled up in a ball at the end of her bed by herself in scrubs I did not recognize. Cedar block walls, hard floors, a cot. and the windows were frosted. The doors were in the facility to the bathroom were breakaway. I understand why all these things exist, but again, put yourself in the place of a child that was living a fairly normal life 2 weeks prior, who is now in a facility, in a situation she does not recognize by herself, and she doesn't feel good. I cry. I broke down. I told Anna that I would be right back and I would send Dad up because I didn't know what to say. I wanted to grab her and get out of there, but I knew I couldn't. And so I went and got my husband, who's 6'3", 250 pounds, and served in Iraq. And I paint that picture because he was down in 3 minutes, just destroyed. And that's how we said goodbye to our daughter. We did go to Target and we bought $250 of every fluffy thing we could find. And then we went to security and they ripped out all the pieces because she couldn't have anything that was a risk. And I understand. But again, and she did not get our card. She did not get our card that we wrote her until the next day. Our daughter then spent 2 weeks at Prairie Care. She had, over the course of a year or two, I think 3 hospital stays, number of ER visits. She spent two different times at Prairie Care in Brooklyn Park, and she did in outpatient treatment as well. And we can go into more, but that's just painting the picture of where we started 5 years ago.
Okay, everybody, take a breath. Kristin, wow, my heart is just beating so fast for you and what you all lived through. We talked about, again, processing. You mentioned that it doesn't get easier, but you get stronger. Are you ready to jump to that part, or do you have more to add before we talk about that?
I think maybe I should just give a little more context on what
Please.
kind of support and treatment we did for our daughter.
Thanks, hon.
And for my husband and for our family. We also at that time had a 5-year-old and 9-year-old, who I should laugh, but while Anna was being admitted and all this was happening in our family, it was again COVID. So we had a COVID kindergartner who was studying in our laundry room. We had parents that were driving down from Annandale and Alexandria, the shortest distance, an hour and a half every single day to help support our kids who were learning from school so that Tom and I could drive back and forth between Brooklyn Park to visit Anna. Every time we were asked, have you been exposed? Do you have COVID? And in there somewhere, my parents did get COVID, so we lost our support and resources. Just a ridiculous time. But Anna consequently missed her entire 6th grade year of school. She had, her triggers were school, a lot of social anxiety. I think life in general felt really big to her, and I'm going to come back to that at some point in our conversation. But at the time, Tom and I it was so fast, so fierce, so acute that we were convinced, and I think anyone in crisis would say the same thing, we were convinced that something else was wrong, that something was triggering it. And maybe there was, right? The environment. But we had just vaccinated her. We didn't know if there were any other physical conditions that might be triggering this just acute version of anxiety and panic. And so our kiddo then went through just copious amounts of testing, medications, supplements for probably a good 2 years. She went through exposure therapy. We did briefly get her back to 7th grade, but she was there physically, not mentally or emotionally. And truth be told, the reason she was there is because we were told that she needed to be there. And that'd be a conversation I would love to have with some of you on the phone, because I know some of you are possibly from the school related to the schools, but I understand that if I'm in a car accident and now I have panic around driving my car and the importance of getting behind the wheel. And so that was, I think, in my brain and my heart, my context the whole time. However, I have learned that you are not ready to do those things until you are ready. And if you continue to force that square peg in the round hole, you are just creating trauma on top of trauma. And unfortunately, that's, I think, what we did for our daughter in 7th grade. And so our daughter was, again, in school, but not there. And she was physically there, but oftentimes in the conference room, because that was the only place that was quiet enough, soft enough, safe enough. Anyone experiencing that I witnessed, and again, you guys are the experts, not me, but when you're in a space of anxiety, which we all live with every single day, anything else around you in context, somebody's irritating you, it's loud, it doesn't smell good, you don't feel good, you're annoyed, right? Your anxiety elevates. And so Anna had a very hard time going to school, and we would get phone calls from the school or from our daughter. First of all, we get phone calls from the school. Anna's missing. We can't locate her. We're looking for her right now because she left her triggering situation, which may have been the classroom, right? She fled. And or start getting texts from our daughter, mom, I'm scared, I'm lost, I don't know where I am. Mom, come get me, come get me. And the school was saying, no, don't come get your daughter. We got this. And there's a little bit of me that understood that at the time, but honestly, I would disagree today. Um, and we went through just episodes. The deputy was involved. She would fight. She would throw furniture. She was terrified. She was in a state of fight or flight. She was a beautiful girl. She was lovely in every way. It was her panic that was presenting, not Anna. But that is very hard for anyone in a crisis situation, right? To dissimulate. Like it's very hard to go, here's a daughter who has stuffies on her bed and loves animals more than anything and wants to be a vet and is the best babysitter to her little sister who is throwing a chair across the lobby of the office. And we had parents, our parents, my dad, my husband's dad, who would drive down from Annandale and Alexandria, 2-hour drives every other day to either sit in the parking lot or sit in the conference room so that Anna could feel safer, because Tom and I had to hold jobs because we had not been working for a while. That was 7th grade. And I'll wrap this up, but it was 2 years into this of forced trying to get Anna into counseling and medication and exposure therapy and all these things that our child after 2 years could vocalize her experience and what she needed. And she said to us, these medications don't make me feel good. I don't like how these medications are feeling. Exposure therapy is not the right treatment, etc. And we said, Anna, you are now an 8th grader, almost 8th grader. If you will lean in and accept who you are, and embrace your anxiety and your panic and learn to live with it, we will allow you to step away from medications as long as you promise us that you will continue to go to counseling, etc. And mostly it was counseling, by the way. And then we learned to quiet the triggers, right? And so we stepped away from medicine and we moved into, let's get her baking, let's get her walking, let's get her riding horses, and started to normalize her life again versus making it big and scary. And honestly, in 8th grade, that's when Anna turned around. We stopped trying to think that she was going to do school, and we did online school instead and got her comfortable with the idea of school and confident again. And if you can believe, in 9th grade, she wanted to go to Stillwater High School, despite a lot of different options presented to her. That is what she did. And now she is a National Honor Society student.
Wow. Thanks for bringing us even more into the story. You're getting hugs and love I'm seeing in the screen, so blessings. Um, my next question for you, we might have already talked, but what did strength look like? How did you and Tom lean on each other, and what care for you and your youngers? And it sounds like you called out your parents, but Anna's grandparents, but let's talk a little bit about you two too, please.
I think everyone says at the end today, and it could change tomorrow, right? And Anna still lives with anxiety. Mary, I'm going to answer your question. I'm sorry, I'm all over the board, but it's hard to I promise I'll answer the questions, but we all have anxiety, right? We all have anxiety. It is a natural human emotion, just like anger, sadness, fear. It is, it is indicating to you that something is uncomfortable. It is important. And if I could rewrite my book, the biggest thing I would do is I would not refer to Anna's panic and anxiety as an illness. The child was reacting to 2020 and all the everything that was going on, and it just became too big and too much to her for her. And I can only speak to the anxiety in a child and what I experienced myself, and now see him, now I know more, right? I know more, I see it, I know how to maybe relate with it. I'm not going to remove myself from it, but manage it, relate to it. So again, what I can speak to is kiddos and my experience. And I would say that why we're seeing increased anxiety, panic, and depression amongst our youth is it is our culture and it is our environment, and they are reacting to it. And frankly, I applaud them because they are sitting back and they are saying that this does not feel comfortable. And they are basically saying this needs to change. I was reading your notes about trauma, and instead of, how did you put it, specific services that respond to the symptoms, you talked about trauma-informed care. And that is a space of mental health, physical health, emotion, trauma, etc., that I think we all should be focusing on because how do we prevent it versus how are we reacting to it? And so that I do have a store in Lake Elmo, and our store is a result of our journey. And this is the part of the conversation that I will respond to in a second and answer Mary's question. But um, I tell our story all the time, and people come in and tell their story, and I just continue to illustrate to everyone, do not be afraid of anxiety. Do not, your child should not be afraid of anxiety. Yes, when anxiety gets too big, we all need support, and support for everybody looks different. There is no generalized one size fits all for anyone. And I would advocate with children, especially and probably adults, I just don't know adults as well, is we need to not make it big and scary. We have to normalize it. I wish when Anna's panic disorder was presenting that I had in this, there's still this moment where it was really bad in our house and my husband grabbed her and threw her in the car and that's how we got her to the ER. And instead, I wish I had grabbed her and hugged her and said, Anna, honey, you're experiencing anxiety. It's really normal. Calm down, take a deep breath. Your panic is also not that atypical. It just means your anxiety is really big. I need you to go upstairs and take a shower. I need you to go take a walk and just calm down. Because I think if I had done that in that moment and could have done that in that moment, I'm not sure we would have seen the disorder that we did because we stopped the trauma, sort of. It wouldn't have meant that we wouldn't have still addressed it and talked it through and got her counseling and support. I'm just not sure it would have become as big and furry and scary as it did. But to answer Mary's question, what my husband and I did is that we leaned into it, meaning we did not hide. We did not hide her. We did not give her excuses. We actually told our story on the news. And if you can imagine, you're like, holy buckets, you did that to your child. Like she's got anxiety and panic and disorder. Um, and trust me, Prayer Care didn't want us to for HIPAA and probably a variety of other reasons. And we certainly did not mention them. But our goal as parents, and maybe me as a woman and a mom, was Anna, we all have stories and we all have experiences in our life that shape our journey, shape our story, shape who we are. But never ever should you not be proud of who you are, and embrace the learning. And kiddo, you need to learn to live with it and you need to learn to live past it. And I do not want you to be ashamed. I always want you to be brave and courageous. And I always told Anna too that I thought her anxiety, and I still do to this day, is a bit of a superpower because I really think and I witness and I see those that really experience a lot of anxiety have a lot of empathy. They have a really big heart. They feel the world in a much bigger way. And gosh, I applaud that. I applaud that because dang it, we need more of that in our world. And so instead of telling all these people that there is something wrong, which I'm not saying we are, but God dang it, I just want to give them a hug, high five them, and say, let's go for a walk. And so that's what we did for our daughter is that we showed her and taught her to live with it and live past it. We did not give her excuses. We did not let her sit in her room. We listened to her. We believed her. We tried to educate those around us. We did. We wrote a book, and Anna has a chapter in the book, and she's aware. Trust me, as a teenager, I'm not sure how excited she is right now. And I even asked her, I said, honey, do you want to jump on this call? Mary, we didn't talk about that, so I wouldn't have surprised you. But I hope someday that she is so dang proud of herself and does share her story. The one thing that Anna is courageous enough to do now is she does volunteer her time at the United Way of Washington County East annual newly You Are You Girls Camp for sixth graders. She is a counselor there. So I'm very proud of her with that. But that's what we did is we don't shy away from this. We are proud of our family. We are proud of our daughter. And I think Anna has shown us that she's just shown us, and people will say, wow, you did a good job. No, Anna did a good job.
Again, amazing, amazing, beautiful light you're shining for all of us. Um, I don't want to cut this short because you're just shining a beautiful light. You're bringing awareness. We did briefly touch on if Anna would jump in, and you said in time, not yet. Um, I'm going to bring up one of the questions we had before is how did love and persistence guide those decisions?
Well, again, it's my daughter. I love my daughter to the moon and back, right? I would never, ever, ever give up on my daughter or my children or my husband. And um, I just wouldn't. And I have been in conversations with people where they are so angry, right? And oh my God, I understand. I do, but so angry and so frustrated. And trust me, Tom and I had moments of it feels like our world has been robbed. It feels like our child, like it was chaos and crisis for 2 or 3 years. Our life was on hold. I quit my career. We took a 60% income cut. Um, we had a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old that were my 9-year-old son at the time knew that if Anna was having a panic attack, his job was to grab our 5-year-old daughter, go in her bedroom, lock the door, put on a headset for both of them and watch a movie so that they did not hear her screaming. So, but I knew, I don't know, this is so cheesy, I feel like, but I knew Anna was still in there and I knew that we just had not reached her yet or figured it out. And um, I don't know. I honestly, I'm just so proud of Anna. I just, it was persistence, it was courage, it was never giving up. Um, I don't know. I think part of it, I don't know if this is true. I don't. Um, but I think my husband and I role modeled living with it and past it too. Like we did not curl up. We did not quit living. I quit to be close to Anna, but that is where Livia Bell started, which is my little gift store here in Lake Elmo. And so I hope Anna saw myself and my husband continue to work and to continue to dream and to continue to push forward. And for those who are not familiar with my gift store, yes, all the gentlemen, I feel you really should come. All the women, maybe. The gift store is more than a store, I hope, for those that come here. It's meant to be a community. It is French for Life is Beautiful, and it is a name that I found. I still remember my daughter sleeping next to me in February of 2021. She had just come home from a hospital stay, and that morning I had given notice to my career. And so I needed something that was courage, bravery, beauty, joy, and that is how Livia Bell Life is Beautiful was born. We hire high school girls here because I want to learn from them probably more than I teach them, honestly. And if anyone has any questions about our youth, they're amazing. They're amazing, and we should be listening to them more and learning from them because our generation is still learning how to figure this all out and be comfortable with it. For them, how to normalize it. So I think that's what we did for Anna. And even to this day, am I unstable? Even to this day, we don't even, because Anna's anxiety still presents here and there, never within the space of unmanageable, or we haven't seen a panic attack in a long time. But she now has the tools to understand. So if she's getting stressed, school's big, got a lot of summatives right now and finals. We just know no sleepovers, right? We cut back on work, extra sleep, we make lists, and we prioritize like every single one of us does. So I think too, if there's anything I want this group, and you all know this, I'm sure. So I feel like I'm telling you stuff you already know, but remember that anxiety, panic, and depression does not necessarily require medical intervention. To use the daily tools that all of us on this phone already know. And the why we know it is because we are older and we do have experience, but these kiddos coming into middle school right now and into our world, they're not even fully developed, nor do they have the experience to know or someone to call to have a conversation. I'm especially the women on the phone. How many times do we call our girlfriends and go, "Oh my God, let me talk to you about this," and laugh through it and cry through it? But 11-year-old child doesn't have that. They don't have someone they can talk to. They don't have the skills. So I don't think that the approach necessarily is always medication and hospitalization. I really hope that this crew, and I think that you are, because I was reading your great stuff, but it's more about applauding individuals and kiddos and setting them up for success with day-to-day normal tools and activities that don't make it feel bigger and scarier.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, since you brought up the shop, I want to go there for a second, and I'm sorry we didn't talk about those questions, so you're feel free to say, no, Mary, I don't want to go there. But what do you think are some of the life lessons or the stories that you've heard from clients or patrons in the store that have either walked alongside or been like, oh, your journey's super hard, and this is what they wish they would have done different? Can we just walk in that for a second?
Actually, I have one consistent thread that I see, and it's not necessarily about this specific person had this or the, and again, I know this group knows this, but again, I think it's important to remember to meet people where they're at. So what I see in any journey for any of us, anytime, right? Um, in a tough situation is first there's crisis, right? There's crisis. And as an individual, as a parent, you are going to do everything you can to look for solutions and look for reasons and treatment, right? You are not going to give up until you find something that defines why this happened. And I think that's one of the things that our family had to learn is it took us probably 2 years to accept that this was not just, but just anxiety. There was no other underlying factor per se, like a reaction to a vaccine or some sort of, I don't know, physically something going on that was triggering this acute panic attack or panic disorder and anxiety. It was anxiety. It was Anna's environment, which holy buckets as a parent, that's a little hard to hear, right? Like, so anyway, what I see with a lot of people coming in the store and the conversations we have is all of us are in different places on our journey, but it is super important to meet people where they're at. So there's crisis, right? We're looking for solutions. We are in crisis. We are doing all the things. Then there's a place of acceptance of, okay, our daughter has anxiety. And we have to address that anxiety. And addressing that anxiety might be hard in some circumstances because maybe it's how I'm parenting her. Maybe it's how my husband and I are relating to each other. Maybe it's school. Maybe it's friends, right? And so I think acceptance is super important. And for some, it might be a day, a month, 2 years, 5 years. But once, in my opinion, based on our journey and what I hear from others, once acceptance happens, then people can start healing, and then healing does occur. But that is the common thread that I hear with a lot of people in my store. And a lot of people come into my store probably more in the crisis phase. Um, they don't know what to do. They're struggling. And honestly, it's hard for me to even, well, I'm not an expert and I don't have a medical background, so I don't give a lot of advice. If anything, I give resources like Washington County and NAMI. But I do a lot of listening because you also can't necessarily say to somebody, hey, you're in crisis, just, you're gonna have to work through that. And eventually someday you'll be in acceptance and healing. No, it's really listening and meeting people where they're at and being extremely compassionate and understanding. And the other thing I'll say to everybody on the phone, if you're working with individuals or a child, just know that the family is also the patient. The family is also living with this as much as the individual, and they are struggling as well and need love, care, and support. So don't forget the family, and don't be too quick to judge. That's another big thing I talked about in my book is um, there were moments when Anna was in a panic attack in my car and I was trying to drive her home and she is screaming out the window, somebody help me, somebody save me, I am in trouble. She won't let me out. She was banging the glass with her feet and her hands. I'm sorry, if you pulled up to a car that was had a child in there doing that, how would you think and feel? Or if this child is running out of, this happened too, out of a theater, the Zephyr, when the Zephyr was still a theater, yelling and screaming, get them away from me, get them away from me. And I still remember the general manager of the Zephyr on his phone having a conversation with the police. So I guess my point, one thing I have learned is don't be too quick to judge, seek to understand, and also learn from these individuals because I also remember my life was nuts. I was a VP, I was traveling all the time. I barely paid attention to things in my life. I was running from one thing to the other. And I remember in the early stages of Anna's panic and anxiety, don't ask me why we did this, but we took her to the state fair. And I think we were thinking that it was a happy, safe place for her. So we took her to the state fair and it was fine. But as any mom would do in the state fair when it's super busy and you're in the horse barn or the pig barn or whatever barn we were in, you're like, kids, come on, come on. Like I was trying to keep track of my three kids. And I finally was like, Anna, come on. And I turn around and Anna was helping somebody in a wheelchair through the busy door and I didn't even see them. And so I just think to these individuals, again, that have really big empathy and really big hearts and are feeling our world and are more aware than maybe most of us are paying attention, learn from that.
I'm learning a ton from you, so thank you. Can we talk about your two youngers? How are they doing and how did they cope during the hard times?
Um, they are doing great now. I think it'll be interesting as they get older and can vocalize. And I mean, they're 13 and 9, but I have a 13-year-old son. I'm still waiting for him to mature enough that I can have any decent conversation with him. He's a good kid, but and my 9-year-old who is happy-go-lucky, thank God. Um, I think the jury's out a little bit on them. Let's see. I'm curious as they get older, what stories or thoughts they'll share. We did go through family counseling. That is one of the things that we did. Um, I the mo now honestly life has moved so far past that it's hard to even I had to read some of my book last night to sort of jog some memory a little bit, and part of that is honestly when one goes through that kind of crisis and trauma, you also kind of want to forget, like you just want to live past it, right? um but again, I do remember situations again where my son had to grab my daughter and get her out of the house or get her, and he was 9 and she was 5. I remember times when Anna would be taken to or we'd be talking about taking Anna to the hospital or seeking medical intervention, and our littlest would start screaming and crying, "Don't take her! Don't take her! Don't take her!" Because the very first time that she went, first or second time she went to the ER and was admitted, and then went to Prairie Care, Lucy didn't see Anna for 17 days. So as a 5-year-old, her fear was if you take her out of the house, I might not see her again. So Lucy dealt a little bit with that. And also Lucy eventually at one point, and we had to get her a little bit of counseling, is she was taking on kind of this mother hen role of trying to be the person to calm Anna down and soothe her, which was cute and lovely and charming, but for whatever, it wasn't right. It wasn't the right role for her, and it always wasn't safe either. And it was traumatic. I mean, Anna would again fight or flee, and so now honestly everything is going so well as it can go, by the way, with two teenagers and a 9-year-old. I don't know, we'll see. I could see, my son to me is a great kid, but he sometimes seems angry to me. I don't know if that's his nature or the result of being a middle kid or a result of something in the last 3, 4, 5 years. But thankfully Lucy is our littlest, and she's happy-go-lucky. So she's doing well. But so far, but I look forward to the day that we can have an adult dialogue about it.
Well, Kristen, I think we've walked through the questions that you and I have discussed. What I'd love in a invite is all of you. You can unmute and jump in or jot in the chat. Um, I think this is your turn now to talk with Kristen on her experience, her family. dear Anna, and um, let's learn together.
Kristen, I just want to say that you sound like an advertisement for social emotional learning, both from, education background, professionals, and parents.
Well, um, just experience, Dan. But again, I want to iterate to everybody that I still remember reaching out to Dan. Gosh, Dan, when did I reach out to you in 2020, 2021? He was the first person I reached out to. I think there's a little bit of crisis with the hospital, but when I knew that I needed support, Dan was the first person. And Dan has been a part of my life since then. And so that was a sweet comment, Dan. Thank you. But what you're doing, what all of you are doing every day for a family or for an individual is extremely important. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever forget that. When somebody is in crisis and just needs someone to believe them and frankly give them a hug and tell them they're not alone. That's the biggest thing is we feel so alone, so alone. I think that's why a little bit I created this store in this community too. And we have events back here too and do classes, etc. Actually, Mary's having a parent circle here. Very excited. That's a little advertisement right there. But I don't ever want anyone to ever feel alone, ever. And what's interesting too that I hear that I know in this store and talking to women and men every day, mostly women, let's be honest, men, our journeys, our stories might be written differently, but our journeys are very similar. So it is extremely important that we all keep talking and stay connected. Even through times like, maybe we feel that we are losing things to talk about. We're on different sides of the whatever, right? And oh my gosh, we have so much in common that it is just extremely important that we all stay connected and keep having conversations. But thank you, Dan.
In fact, Kristen, that's the comment that I made about your book, is that you will see yourself if you live this life as a family with a person and with mental illness, you will see yourself in the story the way Kristen tells it. All of the pressures, all of the things that happen on a daily basis. It's a beautiful book.
Well, thank you, Dan.
And if I can go one step farther, when you started your store, I got on your mailing list. And and it isn't really for me, but I love seeing that weekly blast that you do, that's got all this frou-frou stuff that you women would enjoy.
Man, I forgot. Are you still on that? Oh my
Oh
gosh.
yeah.
Well, when I started a newsletter, I don't know what, 3, 4 years ago. And I do one every Monday. But how my book and this newsletter and even the store and the website all started was a blog. And it was a journal. It was my way of coping with my situation with my daughter. It was writing. So my book is really a compilation of my journal entries that were written in the moment with my daughter. And so it's hard sometimes for me to go back and read this book because it's raw for me sometimes. But I wrote it in a way for a mom, a family, an individual to find, I hope, understanding, some inspiration. There's some stuff in it that's really real. But I'm hoping that there's some level of comfort in it as well. But anyway, that's how my newsletter started was my stories and my journal entries and now dancing things like bags and vases and variety of other things, Dan.
I get the newsletter too. It's lovely. So, Kristen,
Oh
there
my
is a
gosh.
question here that I'd like to call out, and it's what could providers or facilities do to ease the anxiety of the families? And Erin, if you want to expand more, you're welcome to.
Oh, that was for me.
Yeah, that's for you from Erin if they want to jump in.
Oh, okay. Um, okay. Um, I know we keep talking about this, and it's to the point I almost don't love the word anymore, but we really, as much as you can normalize it and not make it big and scary and a thing, I think the more you can just go, oh, I'm downplaying this a little bit, right? But oh, so we have some anxiety. Yep, that's normal. I had some anxiety this morning too. Traffic was really bad. That's pretty, anxiety is pretty typical. Or depression. I'm not feeling super great today. You know what? I plan to go for a walk later today. What are you doing for your depression? Instead of, oh gosh, okay, I need you in my office in 20 minutes. And parents will call you if there's an issue, or maybe you should hang around. I'm no exaggerating a little bit, but anyways, we can just normalize it, because the bigger you make it, the more trauma we put around it, the more we define it of sorts, or give it force and energy, the more force and energy that is going to be there. And that's hard balance, right? I get it. There are some really tough situations that certainly require a different level of intervention and support, but just pay attention to those that feel more like this kiddo is having a rough time right now and maybe just needs a little bit of a hug. Maybe school is not the right thing right now. And I think we have to get okay with things that are not typical. I'm not even going to use the word normal, but I know kiddos have to be in school. I get it. There's a lot of different ways to do school. By the way, for anyone on the phone that needs an amazing resource, Blue Sky. Blue Sky is its own school district out of Bloomington, Minnesota. I think they have a brick and mortar. I'm not sure, but it is an online school that can plug into any school in any school district and allow a student to do online learning, either 100% or partial. So what that meant for Anna when she couldn't go to school as a middle schooler, she did 100% online with Blue Sky, and I cannot say enough good things about this organization. The teachers would write her cards and letters and send her stickers at home. But as a freshman and a sophomore, she was nervous to give up Blue Sky and that tool, that resource. So the last 2 years, she just finished. Frankly, I shed some tears because they became our family. She did one class with Blue Sky every semester the last 2 years at Stillwater High. So that gave her, I think, even if she never used it, some level of comfort knowing that that resource and tool and safety and community that she knew was there. In addition, a lot of us can't go through a whole day all the time without a break, right? Call a girlfriend, get a coffee, go for a walk. These kids are in that school all day, right? And so Blue Sky allowed Anna for 1 hour a day to go to the media center, and she was not a Stillwater student. She was a Blue Sky student. And she'd go in the media center where it is quiet, and she put on her headphones and she'd either do her classwork, or if she was caught up with Blue Sky, it gave her an opportunity to decompress or do some other schoolwork that might be causing her stress and anxiety because she needed to get on it, right? So it was just a tool and flexibility. But anyway, so get creative. I think use everyday resources and solutions. Again, I think medical and medication certainly have a time and a place, but I don't think they should be the first line. And I say that only because we're trying to normalize it, right? And so, hey, honey, what is it that you love to do? Oh, you like to bake. Oh, you like to go for walks. You like to ride horses. Well, let's see if we can. You know what? I have this really great recipe. Let's make this together. Or let me send it to you, and you bring me a cookie tomorrow. Okay? Let's just go home. Let's take a break. I think being okay with some of those things. I don't know if that answered the question.
Erin, you're welcome to jump in. And guys, we have time for more questions. If anybody, I don't know if you can see the chat too, Kristen, but I'll read you some of these so that they're in the recording. There's a lot of thank you for sharing. Appreciate your family's story and your vulnerability to share. Thank you for sharing you and your family's experience, Kristen. I can appreciate what you shared as a professional and as a mom. Thanks for sharing your story. You provide such a story of raw pain, courage, and importantly, hope. And another thank you.
I just want to applaud this group. I mean, what you're doing is so important. I wish I had known it existed maybe a few years ago. And I just don't ever just be really proud of you and what you're doing and what you're contributing, because there is a person, a family, a child out there that will cross your path that someday really needs you and probably already has, right? I know you're all professionals in what you're doing. But that is a really, like I said, I met Dan 5 years ago and I will never forget. And so I just know what you're doing is really important.
Beautiful reminder. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Um, oh, here we go. Someone's asking more about your shop. Yay. And then is it a gathering place for support, socialization, as well as a shop? And then if you can expand more, that'd be great.
Hi, Marta. Um, it is a store, so I'm not going to sugarcoat that. It is a store,
That
but
will not deter me.
yeah, it's a
I
cute
will
store,
come for
everyone.
the store.
It's a cute store. But it has really become a community. So a lot of my customers now are friends, and a lot of women, families, individuals will come in and we'll chat for a long time. But I'm actually sitting in the back right now. We have a gathering room that is available for people to use at no cost. There's a table here that I'm sitting at that seats 8 to 10. So you are welcome to ever host professional or personal gatherings. I call them gatherings. I guess we have classes too, but I like everything we do here is with the intent of connection. So even our classes and when I say classes, we do a lot of local artists here. So they come in and share their craft and their art with women or individuals or men in our community. Um, we give everybody who attends our classes a name tag, and they sit around this little old farm table, and the intention is that everyone chat and get to know each other and have conversation. So the store itself hosts a number of things on a weekly basis. Anything and what we do, our goal is to create gatherings that give peace and joy. So we honestly are not dancing in the space of politics or religion as a business, but everything we do is meant to be kind of you come and play with your hands and chat with others. I remember when I was a little girl, my favorite memory to this day was sitting in our toy room playing Legos with my brother, and we would just sit. We'd be so you'd be playing with your hands and you just find yourself chatting, right? It's just beautiful. And so that's really the intent is joy and connection. So again, we host a variety of things, but like Mary's hosting a parent circle here. So again, she's welcome to use the room. It's no cost to her. I have her in my newsletter. I have her poster up in my store. And there's a kitchen space in here. And the store is cute. I like it. I was an interior designer in a former life. We are opening a second store in White Bear Lake this fall. So it's going really well, but mostly it's without the people though, it wouldn't be special. It's the people. And I do have to say, I have 4 high school girls that work here, and I had 2 prior to them. So I'm up to 6 girls that I've worked with. I adore them. I adore them, and they are amazing. And if anybody again questions our youth, I've never had one not show up on time. I've never had one that if they have conflicts, they switch amongst themselves. They take care of it. They are really good at technology. They take care of my website, my social media. Their opportunity, I guess, is probably teaching them to be really good socially, right? Talking with women. That's a little harder, right? If you're a 16-year-old trying to talk to somebody who might be in their 60s or 70s. I get that, but we're having those conversations. They're amazing. I love my little store.
And Kristen, I want to call out the one gal when I was in and we were talking, and she just took the initiative. She walked in and she just went right to work. And you even called it out. You're like, that's what I love about this. I didn't have to tell her what to do. She just stepped in and went to the spaces. And I was like, oh, can you come to my house? I need you. So yeah, it was very
They're really
beautiful.
great. They're really great.
There's some other, oh, damn, I like your share. Guys, I want to let Kristen go. I mean, you're very welcome to stay till the end, but does anyone have any last questions? And then Kristen, just to prompt you, I just want to give you time to close us too, but I'll scan the chat here and see if any other questions came in. Or feel free to unmute, friends. This is your time too. Um, Maybe one that we didn't touch on is summer guidance. Summer is right around the corner. How are you caring for Anna and your other two in summer around their mental health?
That's a great question, Mary. I think like any good parents during the summer, we're just keeping them busy. Um, a big thing for Tom and I with our kids is all of them work. Well, not the 9-year-old. Um, it is really important to Tom and I and our family, accountability and responsibility and kindness, giving. Jack actually has been mowing lawns since he was 11. And that started because my husband said, son, you are not a big camp kid. He doesn't love camps. He's a soccer player, but there wasn't enough to keep him busy. So Tom started a lawn mowing business for Jack or whatever you called it when he was 11. Well, now the kid's making more money than I am, but that's fine. I should probably start mowing lawns. But he's 13 now, and that's what he'll be doing this summer is mowing lawns. He plays soccer and is also roughing younger kids' games. So that's kind of cute. But basically keeping Jack out of trouble and keeping him active. Anna works for me, and she is currently working on getting a second job. So if anybody knows of a great second job for a very sweet 16-year-old who now needs to pay for a car, let me know. Anna's just doing so well. And here's the other thing I would say about kiddos too is their social group. I know we know this too, but the social group they land in is I don't know what's more important sometimes, the academic or the social group and learning. And thankfully, both Jack and Anna have landed in really healthy social groups. And jury's out a little bit on Lucy, who's the fourth grader, but I have my fingers crossed. And Lucy, the 9-year-old, is going to Hidden Pines, I think, twice. She's going to horse camp twice. She's going to Grandma and Grandpa's a couple times, but basically just keeping them busy, keeping them active, keeping them outside.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm just curious. Thank you, thank you, thank you from my heart and from everyone on the call. I know they're echoing my thanks for you just being so vulnerable and walking in and living it every day and the embracing all who come in and seeing them. You're so good at that. I feel it when I come into the shop as well. Any last packaging, like we covered a lot. We covered what you learned, that moment I'm sad, will never forget, what you would have done different, and how you live each day. Any package it up with a bow, the last message?
The only thing I might say is, okay, so how do I put this? I do not actually promote my book that much. My book was more for me and my daughter, and it is available to people who do not want to feel alone in their journey. So I will say, if you have any interest, and it might not be you, but it might be somebody in your life that is feeling alone, scared, not understanding, or maybe they do need to understand. My book is available at our store or on our website, which is shoplavie.co. So again, I think about when I was a family coming into Oakland Middle School, for example, and feeling super alone. If somebody had maybe given me a book, or to Dan's point, or I did attend Dan's parent group a couple times, or not me, however that goes, Dan. It was Dan's group. That's how I felt about it. Anyway, just anything we can give them so they're not feeling alone and that they know that there's others who understand and can connect to their story or connect to their experience. The last thing I'm going to say, I didn't bring this up, and this is not a closing, but I do want to mention it for those that work in the school systems. Careful with the IEPs. I know that the state has different classifications that you are required to use, and I know that is not something that you can change or control. Anna actually had an IEP for 3 or 4 years, and she graduated out of it this year. Careful how you write the IEPs and set those kiddos up for success versus really highlighting their mental illness or challenge. The first one she had was pretty damaging, and we had to remove her from Oakland. And I love Oakland. I will forever be grateful to Oakland. This isn't about anyone particular or that school. I'm just saying that the way that IEP had been written, this is not about somebody. And we watched the IEP be written very differently. So instead of a child that really focused on her behavioral disorder and how she could present with that behavior, it was written, here is a child who, this is the context, right? So Anna was classified with a disruptive behavior disorder. And I know that's a state classification, not a school or an individual or an administration. So I understand. But the way that first IEP was written, it was very much honed in on that disruptive behavior disorder. You will see this kid throw chairs. You will see this kid try and hurt others, which, by the way, Anna never tried to hurt anyone else. So the way it was written was very, if a teacher was reading that for the first time, how do you think that that teacher might approach that child? Versus that same IEP with that classification that probably couldn't be changed. I don't really understand, but I sort of understand. Instead, started with Anna is a loving child who's extremely empathetic, loves animals, loves to bake, loves to go for walks, and she wants to be a vet. Sometimes her anxiety could present. Here's how you can support her. So I just want us to be really thoughtful and careful about how we present these individuals in either conversation or documentation and making sure we're setting them up for success.
Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, huge hug to you. Thank you for sharing today. Thanks for being my friend. People know where to find you. I dropped it in the chat, your store link. I think everyone should visit. You have some fun summer things coming. Yes, my class, but also you have a lot of fun things. It's so exciting. And we definitely want to encourage everyone to grab the book and just walk with and along and see and learn from. I'll keep going. But thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not seeing any other questions come in. So you are very welcome to stay because what we do now is agency updates. But if you got to jump off, we totally understand. Thanks. Thanks. You've been a joy. And thank you so very, very much for sharing.
Thank you, everyone.
So as I said, I would love to just invite so many takeaways. Yes, thank you. Let's go round the robin. What I've done before is I've called on people going into summer. That might not work so well because you may not all have updates, but we lost a person joined and I see they had to already jump off. Erin, are you still here? I would love for people to meet you and do an introduction. Erin with Newport Healthcare. Are you still here, Erin?
She indicated she was going to jump off early.
Okay, I didn't know that meant she was already gone. So Dan, do you have any updates since you're my person on the screen?
Yeah, well, just a couple things. NAMI has still got a couple events or a couple of things for Mental Health Month at this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The St. Croix Cup, which is a big youth soccer tournament, is going to be held. And we're going to have a table out there and have some teens involved in kind of getting awareness around NAMI stuff. So if anyone's interested in coming by and seeing some good soccer, come up there and we'll have a talk too.
And Dan, are you looking for people to be part of the affiliate Washington County NAMI?
Always, always. We like for people to come and join with whatever passions they have, and we can find a role for that. So it's very much a volunteer organization.
Mhm.
It's a small group of committed people, but we've got real strength in doing the things that we've done with connecting with the county, especially. And, that had been more in crisis and first response and things like that. Now we're moving toward families and young people because that's a demographic that's coming. And the county has done such a marvelous job responding to the things that we've kind of advocated for on the criminal justice side and some of that kind of thing. They do such great work. I do want to mention too, or make sure that somebody on the call from the county mentions the Pride event that they've got coming up on June 5th. Can anyone speak to that? Maybe from public health or something? Do you know it? I guess not. Basically, there's going to be an event midday at the government center on June 5th in the cafeteria, and NAMI will be there.
Great. Great. Dan,
That's it.
if you have more info on that, that'd be great to drop in the chat or anybody on the call who could drop information about that in the chat would be great so we can share that in our circles too.
Okay, I'll go see if I can find it.
Thank you. Hey, Brendan, can you jump in? And you dropped a couple of things in the chat. I would love for everybody to know about those. And if you could just tell us more who you are and what you're doing at Rogers.
Yeah, so regarding those podcasts, both of those were created, recorded by some of our clinicians. So the first one was our Vice President of Clinical Services, Dr. Heather Jones, talking about summer burnout, compassion, resilience for parents. So I think would be pretty relevant for a lot of the things that were discussed today.
Mhm.
And then Dr. Amanda Hines, who works out of one of our Florida locations, she's a psychologist, recorded the summer boredom's hidden benefits for kids. So just kind of a unique perspective on some of the behaviors and things that some may see in their children in the summertime as, negative connotations with them, and how they can be kind of viewed in a positive fashion if handled correctly. As far as locally here, Rogers Behavioral Health, for those of you who don't know, we provide PHP and IOP services for children, teens, and adults. For the younger population, since we're kind of on the topic of children, we'd have our OCD and anxiety program starts at age 6. Our eating disorder program starts at age 8, and our depression program starts at age 13. As we head into the summer here, if history repeats itself, we typically have a pretty low census for our child and adolescent programs in the summertime, so access to care should be pretty quick. We are in network with most commercial insurances, as well as Blue Plus and Health Partners PMAPs through Minnesota Medicaid. And as of this morning, final update here, we do have some immediate openings in our OCD and anxiety program for children and adults in our Woodbury location.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Good to see you this
Yeah.
morning. Is it easiest if I call on people? Jennifer Andrus, can you share who you are and any updates from the community ed?
Yes, thank you. So I'm Jennifer Andrews. I'm with Stillwater Community Education, and our update is in May. So I plan youth enrichment, adult enrichment, and programming for adults with disabilities. So in May, we tried to really implement a lot of mental health themed kind of classes, and we had some success. Not as I was hoping everything would run. Some things didn't run. We just had lack of interest, but we learned some things. We'll do better next year. The one thing that really did take off is we did 4 book studies in partnership with our libraries on the book, The Anxious Generation. So we hired a facilitator. She had 3 different sessions, 3 sessions per book study. So we were with Lake Elmo, Stillwater, and Bayport libraries. And then we also did a virtual. We had 61 people participate, and those all wrapped up last week. We have a lot. I'm looking through evaluations, a lot of feedback in a very positive way. A lot of parents saying, I believe this. I think that these things are, I don't know if people are familiar with the book, but about social media, but a lot of parents are saying, we just want to be able to meet with other parents and connect with other parents who have similar viewpoints. We need support. We need some things to change. And so we are looking at that as a district, like what's our response going to be to that? What can we do to help support people? So that was quite exciting because we just kind of thought it'd be like a one and done, but it's not. People are saying, I've met some people here that I think I'm going to be connecting with. But we want more. So we're looking at that. So that's really our biggest thing. And then next, and NAMI's been a great partner as well, Washington County. So we're really looking forward to doing this maybe better next year, getting the word out in different ways to people. Because I think what we were offering is wonderful. We just have to figure out a way to reach the right people.
And you're welcome
Thank
to keep
you.
using our Connect group to drop invites to.
Yes,
I
absolutely. Yeah,
love
thank
having
you.
those reminders in our monthly emails. Thanks. Good to see you, Jennifer. Hey, Jess M. I don't want to try and say your last name if I were to say it wrong. Can you give us any update? Introduce yourself and any updates?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Jess Mashinsky, and I'm the behavioral health coordinator for South Washington Schools. And my position is new. And so to just kind of give you a little understanding of my role, um, my background is, I know some of you from, my background is in school psychology, and I spent a lot of time at the alternative high school. So I know some providers and on the screen through my role there. But now I'm more at a district level, working on um, the supports and structures related to mental health in our district. So that includes our supporting our building mental health teams, our psychs, our social workers, our counselors, and our nurses, and also um, coordinating care with our outside providers that are using our buildings to meet with our students and families. So we have co-located and embedded providers within our buildings.
Wonderful to meet you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the role you've taken on. Appreciate it. Katie Pape, can you jump in and introduce and any updates?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Good to see you after a long weekend. I'm Katie Pape, the Director of the Child and Family Division at Canvas Health. No huge big updates, I guess. Know that we are open for referrals for both adults and kids at all of our locations. And we're just keep trucking on to the end of our school year for all of our child day treatment programs and our embedded therapists. They're busy, busy, busy. So enjoy the warmer weather the end of the month or the end of the week.
Thanks, dear. Good to see you. Letty, could you jump in and introduce yourself and any updates? Okay. Here, but maybe having tech issues. Marta, would you care to jump in and share any updates?
Sure. And I'm school-based clinical supervisor for Family Means. So our therapists that are in all the Stillwater district and some of the 622s are wrapping up their year and working with Canvas Health and 622 therapists to make sure that those kids that we're serving right now continue to get what they need through the summer and into the fall, because sometimes they're going to different middle schools from our therapist to a different organization's therapist. And I also wanted to say we do accept referrals all the time, year round. So just because kids are not at school and they don't have that trusted school source like the social worker or counselor, you can tell them to go right to our Family Means page and they can self-refer, they can call, they can get information. So we want to make sure that everyone knows that support is available in the summer as well.
Good reminder. Thanks for all you do. I have Rachel Peterson next on mine. If you can jump in, Rachel, I'd love to meet you and share who you are and any updates.
Hi, my name's Rachel Peterson. I am a public health educator actually with Mille Lacs County. I had originally, when I started in this position, had connected with Kathy, just trying to learn about everything that's going on in other counties. And she said, "You guys have this wonderful group," and invited me to come. And so I would love to bring this sort of group to Mille Lacs County. So I'm just here as a fly on the wall, listening to what you guys have going on. So I very much appreciate you guys letting me sit in on your meeting.
Of course, this is for any and everyone. So good to meet you.
Thank you.
Samantha Axt, can you jump in and share who you are and any updates? Uh-oh.
Sorry, there's like a delay. Can you guys hear me and see me? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Getting a good response from Mary. I'm Samantha Axt. I am over at Washington County. I am the crisis stabilization and forensic case management supervisor. Trying to think what are my updates. Well, I guess the big update is last meeting I had brought it up as well when we were in person, but the transition is new. So I'm right now kind of putting a lot of my focus on gearing up our stabilization. I know Jess had just spoke with I always like to say SOCO. So it's the Southern Washington schools, because for stabilization, we're really trying to work on connecting with schools and seeing how, not that we can minimize crisis use, but are there maybe some familiar face adolescents who might need to maybe bypass crisis and utilize maybe the stabilization services and what can that look like. So we're kind of exploring that option now so that way we're prepared for maybe in the fall. And we're working on some new kind of marketing materials because stabilization is standing on its own in Washington County outside of the crisis response unit. So that's probably my biggest update. Otherwise, hi everybody.
Thanks. Good to see you. Sheila, I see you're next on my lineup. Could you jump in, introduce yourself, and share any updates?
Yes, Sheila Watercott. So I'm the Regional Prevention Coordinator for the 7-county metro region. So the only update I really have is I also coordinate a monthly metro collaborative, and that's next Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. And so I can put my contact information in the chat if there's anybody that's not already not on my email list. That meeting is focused on substance use prevention and suicide prevention. So next week we're going to be talking a little bit more about school curriculum and just the health standards specific to substance use prevention curriculum and the requirements for the 2026 school year. So MDE, MDH have been working on laying the framework for making sure schools have access to the resources they need. And right now they're seeing about half the schools feel like they have the resources they need to provide some substance use prevention curriculum, but the ultimate goal is that every school has the resources they need to provide substance use prevention curriculum in all grades. So that's a topic we'll be talking about on Tuesday, and any other events and relevant topics will come up as well. Yes, so Rachel, I just saw your message in the chat, so I will add you to my email list, and I'll also put my contact information in the chat.
Good to see you. Steph, I have Steph up next from Health Partners.
Hi. Oh, different stuff.
Well, you can go since you're there. Go for it. It's all good.
Okay, didn't mean to interrupt. Steph Lindy Kugel from District 622, North St. Paul, Maplewood, Oakdale. I guess our big event this is kind of last minute, but it is this evening. We are having a multicultural fair for a district multicultural fair. It begins at 5:30. There is a program of dance and music, and then after that, we have food, wonderful food coming in, and I am hosting a mental health table with information. And thank you to our providers. You know who you are, who sent things in for me to share at our mental health table that I'll be sponsoring. And again, that starts at 5:30 this evening at North High School in North St. Paul. Otherwise, we are trying to finish the last 2 weeks of school strong here.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good to see you. Okay, Steph K, can you jump in?
Yes. Morning, everyone. Sorry I was so late this morning. My computer was giving me some issues, so I missed a lot of the first half. So I'm looking forward to the recording. For Make It Okay, we have had a lot going on for the month, a lot of in-person and virtual presentations and trainings, and been super busy, and those will continue currently every other month for our presentations and trainings for ambassadors. But we did have a couple of really great events that weren't Make It Okay. They were our Teen Leadership Council and our Little Moments Count. And Mary, I don't know if you've already spoke about Little Moments Count before I got on, so I'll let you do that because it was a great event. But what I will say about that, it was on the role of parental stress and support in early child brain development. And Mary was one of the beautiful panelists. It was a really great event, and you could join virtually or in person, and I have the recording for it. So if you weren't able to attend, there's a recording and you can watch that. So I'll put that in the link, and I'll let Mary share about that more. But the other event was our Teen Leadership Council that we had on May 10th, and the keynote speaker was Galen Elmore for that. And it was a great event. The teens were amazing. And one of the things I will say is I definitely was never as articulate or as graceful as so many of these teens are when you hear them speak, when you you're just like, wow, like, how old are you? And there was one that was like a freshman who I'm like, you have to be on the speech team or debate because she was just amazing. But when those kids talk, I think people really listen. So I think it was a really great event, and Galen knocked it out of the park. He was amazing. I have that event link as well, recording, so I will put that in the chat as well, so that if you're interested, if you weren't able to attend, you can watch both those events. Other than that, that's kind of, we are just wrapping up Mental Health Month, and it's been a lot of a lot of out in the community, and so that's good. And with summer gearing up, we're going to be out in the community a lot more. So that's where we'll be this summer. So
Thank you. You guys are just truly everywhere. So I appreciate that. And we all continue to learn together. Um, I will just tag on what you just shared about Little Moments Count. It was a fabulous morning. I was honored to be on the panel, learned so much from the other panelists. They were great. So I appreciate you dropping the link in. Okay, the last person I would really like to hear from before I drop my own stuff in the chat too, what's upcoming, is Kathy Mack. Can you jump in one more time, please?
Sure. Kathy Mackwich, Washington County Public Health. Friday is my last day after 27 years with the county. So I am retiring on Friday. So on to other stuff. Thank you all for all that you provide. That speaker was probably one of the best ones we've ever had in terms of like the essence of what we're doing. So, that was powerful, very, very powerful. I did put it in the chat if anybody has announcements to send it to our PHE email, and then it will get routed to whoever it needs to go to. So just keep on doing that. And Kat Walsh will be sending out the monthly email. So you can also reach out to her until my replacement is hired. So carry on the good work, all. It's today was really it. Today was a great ending to yeah, it's just a great ending. Super amazing speakers. So thanks for coordinating that.
Well, thank you. Oh my gosh, learned so much with and from you for sure.
Thank you.
I joked because Jerry and I are co-leaders of this, and I joked that when we have our leadership meetings, I'm just going to keep a tally of how many times we go, well, we would have asked Kathy, but we would have asked Kathy, but so yeah, and Kathy is a beautiful resource, so love it. And I personally want to wish you well, and we'll find a way to stay connected. Friends, our next meeting is June 24th. June, we know, is Pride Month, and we will have a speaker on that. I wish I could tell you exactly who. I have a couple that we've been in conversation with, just waiting for follow-up. But same time, it's virtual. Jump in at 8:30 if it fits, and you'll get a reminder email about with the link and all that good stuff. Any last minute closings that people are hoping we can sign off before we sign off? Again, all I can say is thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone.
Whoa, so sorry. I clicked on something and it started going. I want to say Kristin did share a heartfelt, moving. There is a recording of this when we send the reminder. There'll be the link to the recording. It's on YouTube, so we save it for anyone to share. So if you want to watch it in a group meeting and have that as a discussion point or however. On that note, though, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to join today. Thanks for all the beautiful work. And we'll just see you fourth Tuesday in June. Be well. Thanks, friends.